feel the pictures are now enough. Thank you very much. Colleagues, before you is a team of leaders from Western Region, together with CS, led by CS Interior, Mheshimiwa Matiangi, CS Devolution, Honorable Wamalwa, CS Agriculture, Honorable Munya. We had the CS Water, Honorable Cecily Kariuki. We have the Council of Governor Chair with us, the Honorable His Excellency Governor Oparanya. We have the Governor for Vihiga, Daktari Otichilo. We have the Governor for Busia, Governor Sospita Ojamong. We have the apology of the Governor of Trans Nzoia, Honorable Haemba. We also have the apology for the Governor of Bungoma, Honorable Wangamati. The purpose of today's meeting, we are 20 MPs with us here today, and 2 senators. We also have 4 senators. We just have the apology of 1 senator, Senator Wako, who is held up in a business somewhere, transaction for the government. The main purpose for today is to consult with executive. We want to engage, and we have really had a very constructive engagement with executive for the purpose of developing our region. All we want is to see that what is required of the region from the government is achieved. And that's why we have the leader of national coordination, Honorable Matiangi, with us. And it will be my pleasure to invite the CS for devolution to make a remark, and then invite the colleagues CSs to proceed from there. Thank you, Waziri.
Thank you very much, Honorable Wangwe, the Chief Whip, together with your colleagues from the National Assembly, together with your colleagues from the Senate. And I think on behalf of the senators, I would welcome Senator Mbito to say a word on behalf of the senators before we invite the CSs. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. On behalf of the senators, let me just say that we've had a very fruitful meeting today as the leaders from Western. We've had deliberations on development projects, and also discussed on how to improve on oversight function in the Senate. And one thing we have also resolved here is that we will now have meetings on the ground. We want to start being action-oriented. We just don't want to be having meetings in Nairobi here. We have resolved that we will be meeting on the ground, and so that we see things moving. So what I'll say is that today was a great meeting, and we'll be seeing a lot of development in our region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Mbito. And before I invite His Excellency Governor Oparanya, I would want to thank my cabinet colleagues who are here with us, with Chair Matiangi. And as you've been told, those who are here and left earlier. And a wide range of issues have been canvassed at this meeting, touching on development. And the Intergovernmental Relations Act allows both levels of government to work together, to consult from time to time, to cooperate and to collaborate in ensuring that development projects are realized for the transformation of our counties and our country. So today we've had quite a number of issues, from the sugar issues that Honorable Munya will shortly be addressing us on, cotton and other matters, infrastructural issues, water, and our colleagues who have left their representatives here, CSs and PSs who are with us. And allow me now to invite my colleague CS Munya to address us briefly on matters sugar that are actually very, very vital to the economy of the Western region and our national economy. CS Munya.
Yes, thank you very much. We have deliberations on the key value chains affecting Western Kenya, sugar, coffee, and cotton. And we have briefed the leaders on the progress we have made in the revival of sugar. Indeed, we are in the final stages of recommending legislative interventions to create a sugar board, to also create a sugar levy fund that will raise money to be plowed into development of the sugar sector. And we are also in the processes of finalizing the instruments of leasing the non-performing government sugar mills to the private sector, and also writing off all the debts that have been accumulated on those mills. So in a nutshell, the recommendations that were made by the task force, we are fully on course in implementing them, and therefore the recommendations on the legislation will be forwarded to Parliament on Monday, so that Parliament can finalize the work and then we start implementing. On the coffee, we have finished sensitizing people in the Eastern region, and from July, in fact, we are having a meeting with the World Bank this afternoon to conclude the process of accessing more money to start the process of reviving coffee farming in Western Kenya, improving the infrastructure and the factories to make sure that the value of coffee that is produced there improves, because part of the problem is the infrastructure. And therefore, our meetings with farmers start in July. So we wanted to make it very clear that coffee is being revived across the country. It's not just the Eastern region. It was just a phased-up approach. And therefore, in July, we end to Western Kenya. The Sharia Advance is also a national fund that will be accessed by farmers, of coffee farmers across the country. And therefore, we are giving leaders here the forms that are required to be signed by farmers there, so that they can be able to start accessing the Cherry Advance Fund. On the cotton, we already started the introduction of the BT cotton in Western Kenya. In fact, demonstration farms have already been set up there. And we are now in the process of accessing more resources to revive the ginaries and also give farmers seeds that are quality seeds, so that in the next season, the revival and the growing of cotton can start in earnest in Western Kenya. So in a nutshell, we are on course in the revival of those very, very important value chains that will end up improving the economy of Western Kenya and improving the lives of farmers in Western Kenya. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, CS Munya. CS Cicely Kariuki was here. She addressed the issues of floods. The Western region was very hard hit by floods, particularly the Budalangi area. And matters flood control have been canvassed at length, including the recovery process that has seen over 1.5 billion directed towards flood control. And she has indicated she will be visiting very soon, after technical committee visits next week, to ensure that we deal with the issues of dikes, issues of construction of dams, and ensuring that those who have been affected by floods are given support, apart from the other water projects that are ongoing in the region, that the members across the region have been briefed properly on what national government is doing, and also what the counties are doing. We've also looked at the issues of the COVID-19 challenge, and we have been addressed by the CS here, representing our colleague CS Kagwe, including additional support to border counties. And we will be visiting the region very, very soon, as Chairman Dr. Matiangi will tell us, together with the Chair COG. But may I thank the governors for being very, very united in terms of dealing with the issues and engaging us as national government. And what we've had here is a change of attitude, so that we are not only dealing in lamentations, but literally looking at implementation of key national government projects to transform the region. And may I now invite His Excellency Governor Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya, COG Chair, who is also the Chair of the region, Lake Region Economic Bloc, to come and address us and introduce his colleagues before I invite the chair, CS Matiangi, to speak to us. Karibu.
Yeah, thank you very much, CS Wamalwa. Before I make few remarks, I will want just my colleagues to make one or two words, starting with Governor Busia. Then Governor Tichiro will follow.
Okay, thank you, members of the press. I think we had a very fruitful meeting. As the governor coming from Busia, we have just talked about the issue concerning COVID-19, because Busia is faced with a crisis, a problem of not their making, but because it is an international border. But from previous meetings with the president, now with the CSS, a fund will be created to assist Busia sort out the mess that we have now, the COVID-19. So I want to say that as a representative for the Busia people, we shall continue cooperating and collaborating with the national government. Thank you.
I wish, on behalf of our colleagues, to say we are very happy as governors from Western Kenya region for taking this opportunity to meet and focus on development. And I want to thank the government, and particularly the chair of today's meeting, for the cordial discussions we have had. And basically, we have realized that there are quite a number of projects that the national government has started in our region, but most of them have stalled because of either follow-up or one problem or another. So now, with all the leadership in the region focusing on development, we believe that we will see fast transformation of our region and focus less on politics but on development. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to emphasize that we have not come here for politics, but we have come here for development of Western region. Our first agenda was to look at stalled projects. There are quite a number of projects that were started in the past and they are not moving. So we wanted to engage, we have come here to engage the executive to see how these projects can be progressed. Secondly, there are new projects that we intend to undertake in that particular region. And we wanted, since the new budget is starting from 1st July, we wanted to know what is in there for the region so that we are able also to follow. And thirdly, the most critical issue was actually agriculture. As you know, the economy of that region depends on agriculture. And that's why you see the CS agriculture here, and I think he has expanded very well on the issues that we looked at. Then lastly, we had floods in that particular region. The floods displaced quite a number of families, and we wanted to know where we can fit as a region in the economic recovery fund, the 53 billion Kenya shillings that was announced by the president last month. And lastly, the government had promised to start 2 factories. In Western, the granite factory, in Vihiga, and the gold factory in Kakamega. These are very critical factories that was promised by the government, and we wanted to know also when these particular factories are going to commence. We have had a very fruitful meeting, and of course, being the first meeting, we could not clear everything, and we have agreed now to have a further meeting in July, and that time that particular meeting will now be in Western region. Thank you very much, and I want to thank Mr. Matiangi here for sparing his time, and the CSS who managed to come here, and also members of parliament that spared time to be with us here. We had apologies from our two colleagues, and we had get involved as governors because to avoid duplication. Kera is there, Kura is there. We undertake some projects and we find that sometimes there is duplication. Now with the clear set out, because now we have all projects in the region have been tabulated. As governors, we are able to go through them so that when we plan ours, we do not duplicate. Thank you very much for the day.
Thank you very much. I would like now to invite our chairman, CS Matiangi, to address us and to also just pass the apologies of CS Macharia, who was well represented here on Matters Road, Matters Airports, including the Kakamega Airstrip and Kitale, that already have contractors. And CS Matiangi would pass the apologies.
Thank you very much, my brother and my colleague, CS Wamalwa, the Chair of the Council of Governors, Governor Oparanya, and your colleagues who are here, my brothers and my colleagues from Cabinet, honorable members of Parliament, and colleagues from the various departments of government. I'm grateful, and on behalf of my colleagues, both those who are here and those who left slightly earlier because they had other responsibilities, we had apologies from CS Macharia and the CS Kawe who are on duty elsewhere. But their departments have been here, and the CS Munyes, because the granite factory in the Western region is a very important aspect of what we have discussed this morning. I want to say this in summary. I think we've had a good meeting. I thank the leaders for coming along. It's a morning well spent. We are focused on a number of things. It is true, as the leaders say, that in some areas in the Western region of our country, work has started. I mean, the contractor has moved to Kakamega Airstrip from 5th of June. Work has started on some of the roads. But it's also fair, and on this particular one, I have to be very frank and sincere to the public that it is fair that we are actually reassigning up to nearly 30% of the road projects in the Western region. Why? Because some contractors who were identified earlier either abandoned the contracts on the way because they did not have sufficient capacity, or there are challenges of one kind or the other. Funds are no longer the excuse, because it is true the Exchequer, our national treasury, released over 30 billion shillings in the last 2 weeks alone to pay up pending bills in particularly the road construction sector. We had the bond through which we have gotten resources. The truth of the matter is this, that some of our local contractors, and this just doesn't affect the western part of our country, it affects virtually most of our countries. And we have been moving around and come across cases where contractors are just basically playing games, or some of them are coming from that old school where they believed in navigating their way around by either bribing public officials or corrupting people in government and hoping that that is the way to proceed and survive. I have been telling these leaders that I was in Nyandarua on Monday, where a contractor took up an assignment to do 4.5 kilometers of a road about 4 years ago. I mean, honestly, just tell me how you can do 4.5 kilometers of a road for more than 4 years. And then I asked our Ngao and the police team to look for the contractor and arrest him, so that we actually can take them to court for wasting public resources. We are not going to play those kinds of games anymore. And it must be said quite clearly to all of us that, we long lost the days of playing around with public funds, where contractors believe that they will escape responsibility by bribing public officials. And we are here, there are PSS behind me here, there are directors, there are secretaries here, senior government officials, people understand that even we in the public sector will bear responsibility. We will have to face the law, because in cases where, for example, fictitious certificates have been issued, we had a case in Taita Taveta last week where, again, we had to insist on the arrest of not just the contractor, but even the public officials who issued those fictitious certificates for work that is not done. I mean, we must love our country enough to do the right thing and to do the work that we have been assigned to do. So I'm asking my colleagues in government, the leaders who have spoken to me have said nice things, but I want to be honest and level with the people of Kenya. We are playing games in certain cases with some of these projects. So, yes, our colleagues have reassigned some of these projects, and as the chair of the Council of Governors said, we will move to the ground. In fact, had it not been for COVID and the challenges related to movement, we would have loved to have this meeting in Kakamega so that we are also able to bring in other lower level representation, MCAs and the others, so that we sit together and look at some of these projects together with the people who are affected, so that we listen to Wananchi also, who are affected in some of these areas. So as we navigate around the challenge of COVID-19, we will do more of our work in the field and meet with the leaders in the field. And we will not accept cases where people lie to us. Sometimes you get reports that tell you a road is 70% complete. And when you meet these leaders here, they tell you it's not even 20% complete in certain cases. So our colleagues who are especially in the infrastructure sector, and my brothers and I have had these discussions before, lower level officials, let's not frustrate the work that ministers and PSS are doing. No minister or no PS can be everywhere in the country. We depend on the lower level officials who supervise this work to do their work. But in cases where you are actually trying to navigate around and play games, you will face the law and you will have to bear responsibility for cases where all this lateness. We have raised issues, for example, of Lake Victoria North Water Company. How is it that you can do boreholes and put on record that you have done X number of boreholes in Western Kenya, and half of those boreholes are not yielding water, they are not complete, but we have in our books that you have done boreholes. So we have insisted that our colleagues, for example, from Lake Victoria North, have got to file a proper report. We will be in the field with the minister, and our county commissioners have been instructed to go and look at those, ensure they look at those boreholes, to be sure that what we have in the books is correct. We cannot play around with our people in the manner in which some of these things have happened. But that said, I think work must be done. That we are employed by the people of Kenya through our president to get this work done. And we cannot lie around, pretending and wasting public resources. That's why I'm very grateful about the meeting we've had. These leaders have spoken to us very candidly. They pointed out to us areas where we need to improve, and we will. They have drawn our attention to areas where projects have been delayed, and we have explained to them and taken note of them. And we have assured them, as the Governor Oparanya said, in the next 1 month, we will have a meeting in the field, not here, where when people tell us they have done 10 boreholes, we will drive around with them to see them, where they are. And then the contractors and all those other people who keep, hoping that they will survive through that kind of navigation, they will not. We are going to be very hard, and we will do what we have been assigned to do. Thank you so much, all of you, for coming. I look forward to continued collaboration. May the Lord bless you, good people, and thank you very much. If it's related to what we have done today. Where is one going? Actually, I'll respond to that before my brother comes on. You have noticed, maybe you have not been reporting, we have had several contractors arrested. And actually, we are serious on this matter. We sought advice from government lawyers, and they have advised us that in cases where contractors sign up to do work and they don't do it, that amounts to dereliction of duty, and where there is a blatant case of wasting public resources, through all those excuses, we can actually have a case. And what we do in our case is that we arrest these people, we prepare our notes and documents, and process them according to the law, so that they finally meet with the law, because they're wasting people's and our people's resources. We will insist on doing this. I know some people have been complaining, the areas where I've had people saying we are being high-handed, the manner in which we are dealing with some of the contractors recently. I would rather they actually abandon the work and go than waste public resources in the manner in which they're wasting. I've given you that classic example of a contractor. How can you do 4.5 kilometers of a road for 4 years? How? And it's just basically giving very petty excuses. Oh, I've not been paid. Oh, this has not happened. And when you are paid, some of them even sometimes filing fictitious certificates and so on. We have lived this way for a long time, and Kenyans know this culture. We have challenges. One day, when we publish the report that the president has directed us to do on government projects, you will see some of the horrors of some of the things that people are doing. I mean, people are paid money in advance, mobilization fee and so on, colossal sums of public money to start projects, and then they vanish. You go around the country, and since we started doing this work of looking at projects, frankly, you get very frustrated, because somebody has abandoned a project, they had already been paid 1-point-something billion, and they have walked away. This is irresponsible. We cannot accept it. So we'll deal with it that way, and we are going to work together with the other relevant agencies to ensure that these people are brought to book. So that idea of saying, oh, it is a civil matter because it's a contract, we will go, it is also criminal to waste public resources in the manner in which some of these people are doing.
Yes, we are still working on the exact costs. We've sent engineers out into the field. They have been working, especially in the eastern region of Kofi. We want to send them in the western region to do proper assessment on the infrastructure. We already have 1.5 billion. In the eastern region, we've looked at the cost, and the estimates are coming close to 5 billion. And 30% of coffee is grown in the western region, so you can work your mathematics. So we haven't yet zeroed in on the exact resources we require, but we can assure you we have some of the resources. We have also a program on mechanization that is going to provide us some of the extra resources. So we don't have a challenge on the resources to modernize the infrastructure, because part of the problem of quality of coffee is the antiquated infrastructure in the wet mills, and also in the mills themselves, and also, of course, the other infrastructure we require to modernize the trading, the commodity exchange, and the warehouses, etc., etc. So there is an entire ecosystem of infrastructure that we want to put in place and modernize and automate to make sure that we turn around this sector. On cotton, we have done the proposals, and we're engaging with the E-Fund. We'll be able to give you the actual costs when we